Hello everyone, I'm Chester44 and welcome to this Let's Play of Neverwinter Nights 2. Last episode we spoke with our companions a bit and went to go become a squire to a knight. Through this we're actually effectively protected from being, taken to Luskan and murdered. Well, not murdered. No, yes, murdered. And now we need to find a way to prove our innocence. That said, we also have a chance here to speak with Lord Nasher and the other people here. Sir Grayson here has nothing more to say until later, so let's speak with our other people here. Let's start with Lord Nasher.
Well met. How go your travels?
Do you know anything of the battle fought in West Harbor against the King of Shadows long ago?
If memory serves, that was where the King of Shadows was defeated. We lost almost every soldier of Neverwinter to a man in that battle at West Harbor, and we suffered terrible losses. When their bodies were recovered, it is said they were rotted, decayed, as if devoured from within. Horrid. The King of Shadows was said to have a legion of demons at his command, and many villages did not survive the battles along the Mare as West Harbor did. But the exact purpose of this sorcerer being was never known.
I guess that's all we have to talk about. What about Sir Naval?
How goes your investigation? Our mages and scouts have turned up nothing yet.
Any idea where I should search for clues?
I would travel to Ember. You were the last one to travel through the village.
Perhaps you will notice something our scouts will not.
Failing that, Port Last is close to Ember. Someone there may know something of what truly happened. The first captain of Port Last is your best bet. Also, Sand here, as much as I hate to admit it, may be able to spot something. He has a talent for seeing what's out of place.
Careful, lest I blush from all these compliments.
That wasn't a compliment, Sand.
Usually if something's out of place, you're suspiciously close by. I'll return when I have something to report.
Before you go, speak to the first captain of Port Last, Ramos. He may have information concerning Ember that may be of use. And you will need at least one piece of evidence to clear your name as well. Without speaking to Ramos and some evidence to clear your name, you have no chance in the trial at all.
Noted. Thank you. Now let's go and maybe get back our companions, because I'd like to have a few more as we explore the, what's it called? The Black Lake District. If we can, but I think we will.
Travis Ignam, welcome to the Black Lake District, sir. I'm Sergeant Brockenburn, and it's a pleasure to finally meet you. You'll find this a quieter ward than what you're used to, I think. My men are an honest lot. We take no bribes and tolerate no disorder.
Is the lockdown still in effect?
No, nasty business that. We weren't able to locate the murderer. By now, he's surely escaped the district. I've added more watchmen to keep an eye on things. All the same, the lads will feel better with you in the district, I think. We've all heard about how you cleaned up the docks. You need any help finding anything around here, I'm at your service.
How long have you served here?
20 years I've patrolled these streets, and I make a point to know every grudge, every love affair, every tawdry bit of gossip. Wouldn't be such a quiet ward if I didn't.
What's there to see around here?
Best be careful about sightseeing. The nobles here value their privacy. A few of them have their own guards, and they've no qualms about drawing blades on us. I admit, the theater on the lake does attract a certain amount of attention. Lord Tamar built it after the Luskan invasion, trying to win back the people's affections from Nasher, they say. There's a bard performing there now, a fellow by the name of Cain. My grandson has heard of him, though I certainly haven't.
Are there any merchants in this district?
Only a few. You can try the Academy Square just out front of the Archives building. You'll find a scattering of merchants there. Best hold your nose if you're browsing their stalls. The shopkeepers serve the needs of the Academy students, so it's foul-smelling potions, Eye of Newton the like.
Farewell, and thank you very much. While we do have much to investigate, I believe we need to get our companions back, so we are going to take a quick side trip in order to do so. Hopefully nobody stops us on our way. Yep, way down there. Once we get everyone back, we'll we'll be able to move on. Why am I stuck so far away? Okay, there we go. And we can go to Port Last, High Cliff, Fort Locke, West Harbor, Dwarven Scouts, and Old Owl Well. Dwarven Scouts, that's interesting. But yes, we need to go through Neverwinter first. Then we'll do some exploration around other places. Probably all those other places, talking to people and see what happens. It should be fine. We'll probably go with Quara somewhere, because reasons. Come on, come on. I just wish it wasn't so long to get anywhere. And there's the flagon. A quick run in and then run out. I wish we could have chosen our companions when we walked out. That would have been so much better. And out the door, we have sand, and you know what? It said there's a merchant there. Let's go with Gromnar and Nishka. Sorry, not a merchant, a performer or something. So I guess we can run around with Gromnar for a bit. See what happens. And let's go investigate the Black Lake. Come on, come on. There's a loading screen. Alright, here we are. Let's look around and see what we can see. Let's start by going up in the area we had been in over there. And what do we have over here? There's actually... Oh, empty estate! This is actually what we were told about. We have a quest here. Undercover Watchman. Well met. Captain Relena told us to expect you. How is this going to work? You're supposed to be Lord Ganesh, a black market arms dealer newly arrived from Amun. The other men and I are posing as your servants. All you have to do is negotiate the sale as best you can. Captain says you can keep whatever gold they're willing to pay. We can't arrest the thieves until money has changed hands, so don't blow your cover too early. And do your best to gain their trust. If they sense a trap, all bets are off. When you are ready, we can bring in the buyers. Let's do it. You Ganesh? I am. Who are you? Name's Lim. Huh. Can't say I've ever seen a noble dressing himself up in a getup like that. It helps to be prepared in my line of work. I guess when you're rich, you can do whatever pleases you. Anyways, we got business. My associates and I understand you've come across some trinkets we might take a fancy to. We'd sure be interested in seeing what you'd brought. I'd expect nothing less from professionals such as yourselves. Good to see you know who you're dealing with. Show 'em the goods. Some of the gear doesn't exactly look to be the finest of conditions. Without this merchandise, you'll all be picked off by the watch, one by one. You have us in a bad position. We'll pay your price then, but don't go expecting any favors from us after this. Suppose you'll be wanting to see the gold now. You suppose correctly. Good. You don't trust me. Means I can trust you. Here it is, every gold piece. That will be adequate. Well, do we have a deal or not? We do. All right, we do a snap on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Pleasure doing business with you. Too bad it ends here. You're under arrest. He's a fake, boys. Let him have it. I have no idea what just happened here. Kill them! How much backup did he have? Jeez. There we go. Well, they're all dealt with. Quite a bit of loot here, though. Glad to be alive after that. You should tell Berlano what happened. Oh, we definitely will. That was quite a lot of, well, everything happening. Okay, what did we get here? I don't even care for the venom. +3 dagger. Hold on. Yeah, I'll give that to you. Greater cloak protection versus law. That's actually pretty impressive. I'll give that to you. Roguelinks. Ooh. Armor of this type began to appear in the lands adjacent to Thay in the year of smoldering spells 1020 DR. An irremovable coating of soot has blackened it, dulling noise of movement and making it ideal for stealthy endeavors. Close examination, however, reveals that the charring was not the result of externally applied heat, and suggests the original owner suffered some sort of Thavian-induced combustion. This lends to a very morbid feeling in the suit. But it's usable by rogues, which we have one.
Can't move. Yes.
Okay, you're encumbered. Once we remove the armor of loyalty, you will be fine. There you go. You're fine. We'll sell the armor of loyalty. Oh, I do think I know someone we can give it to. The rest of this stuff I think is fine to not need.
I think it is time everyone marched behind me, your new glorious leader.
Wow, Sand! I mean, wow! I've heard of being full of yourself, but wow! Now we're gonna give to one of our people. Oh boy. I am amazed at that. Okay. Oh, we can turn that quest in later. Let's, what else do we have around here? There's Church of Lathander, Aldenon's Manse, okay. Theater on the Lake, the Collector's Mansion, we'll go there soon. Academy Square, Neverwinter Archives, and the Academy. We've already been in the castle itself, so let's take a look up in the Academy area. I'm sure we'll find something interesting in here. Let's see. A merchant! Used books and sundries. Laundry washed for a copper. What the hell's going on here? Hey, you! Get away from there! Aye! Careful now. Don't get too close to them crates. You seem like an important fellow. You work for the school? Aye, that's right. Assistant Kennel Keeper Jenks. That's who you're talking to. Dangerous beasts are my stock and trade, they are. Locking them up, moving them in and out, beating them as they deserve it. Wait, I'm sorry, beating? Ah, you heard me. Takes beating an animal sometimes to put a scare in him, and to learn his mates to behave. Ain't you never owned a hound or a mewling cat? Beat any animals in front of me and you'll be less a limb. I'm not looking for trouble from you, friend. Besides, you might think twice about where you're standing before you make any threats. Half these folk hereabouts are Academy wizards, and you're a few scant paces from the Academy gates. Besides, I've not seen fit to beat any animals, have I? At least not since you've been standing there. So let's call this conversation over, shall we? Each of these crates is labeled with large red letters. Academy property, danger, do not open. I'll hear no more threats from you. Just stay clear of the crates. Okay. Various members of the Academy here, but it looks like we can't actually do anything in here. Okay, so that guy's not too happy with us. Ah, but we've got a merchant here, Dane Lenneth. Travis Ignam, isn't that right? Your name is on every tongue in the city, and each tells a more fantastic tale than the last. Tell me,
Do you hail from West Harbor, perchance? A dear friend of mine lives there. His name is Dagon, and he had a human ward who'd be about your age.
Right, that'd be me.
Really? Why, I knew Dagon of old, before his passions dimmed and his wanderlust faded. We crossed paths now and then, even journeyed together for a time. Listen, I keep a store of secret goods. I don't offer them to the students, as they require a certain level of proficiency. But for Dagon's ward, I am willing to make an offer, and at discounted price.
Very well, I'd like to see these special wares. First, let's see. The sturdy feet of Pym? After single-handedly driving a band of demons from his village's traditional burial grounds, the young halfling archer Pym Pebblefoot became a hero to the people of his village and the surrounding communities. Although he was praised and honored by his elders, and fancied by more than a few village girls, the ever-withdrawn Pym simply took it upon himself to continue acting as the proprietor of the local farming communities. Rain or shine, summer or winter, the farmers and shepherds of the Grey Hills grew used to the sight of Pym standing tall, for a halfling, on a hill overlooking their fields, bow in hand and a wisp of pipe smoke curling about his head. Many heroes lead short, glorious lives and die valiantly to thwart some terrible threat. Although Pym's life was undeniably glorious, from fighting alongside the knights in silver against orc hordes to driving off giants out of the Evermoors, it could hardly be described as short. Pym lived to the ripe old age of 135 years and died in bed, surrounded by 3 generations of his descendants. Pym was interred within the hills he'd protected all his life, but his gear was passed on to a great-nephew who left for Neverwinter to become an adventurer. The fate of Pran Pebblefoot is unrecorded. Oh, 15 bonus hit points, immunity to knockdown, and only usable by me. So basically, I'd be able to survive 1 more hit point and I won't be knocked down. I don't think so. Interesting? But no thanks. Hell, the Boots of the Winterlands are actually more useful, I think. Oh, these are all unique. They're all unique! Oh, let's look through all of these. This may take a bit, but what the hell. Excuse me. A Mad Gent's Gloves. The reputation of the penniless aristocrat-turned-self-proclaimed High Minister of Ale spread throughout Waterdeep like wildfire. Madachi Gent had seen a vision of the high god Ale and taken it as a sign that he was to lead a new church of Ale. After he kicked a homeless man in the face and cured his blindness, he attracted many more followers. His fellow ministers were even more absurd than Madachi because they lacked the particularly intense fire that lit the High Minister's madness. When Madachi began his kicking crusade against Waterdeep, he rightfully should have been killed within the first few hours. Unfortunately for his would-be killers, Madachi's new followers defended him fanatically. Soon after the beginning of the kicking crusade, Madachi started to realize that some of the people he was kicking were not actually suffering from illness. As he helped his victims to their feet, he noticed that his black gloves healed wounds at a touch. His faithful were enthralled at this new miracle. Madachi spread his new brand of healing across Waterdeep for days before he ran into trouble. When the High Minister kicked a priest of Bane, the dead god of hatred and tyranny, in the face, he was throttled. To make matters worse, Madachi insisted that the priest unhand him because no servant of a dead god is fit to touch a servant of Ao. Even without the magic of his deity, the priest of Bane was more than a physical match for Madachi and his band of lunatics. So, a set of gloves that allows a cleric to use Cure Moderate Wounds. Kicking Crusade. Right. Armor of Graham the Mouse. At the age of 18, a small young man from Vunlar named Graham Chandler was inducted into the ranks of the Damaran Paladins of Torm. Nicknamed the Mouse by his fellow classmates for his small size and great love of cheese, Graham had become well respected during his time as an initiate. However, when it came time to armor the initiates as full paladins of the church, the embarrassed order found that it did not possess a suit small enough to fit Graham. The priests and paladins apologized to Graham and told him they would get a suit of armor made as quickly as possible. Though Graham's classmates snickered about it, Graham smiled and quietly went about his business. Only a month later, while most of the other paladins of the church were away on business, a lone wounded rider approached the Tormish fortress and demanded to see whoever was in charge. Graham was far from in charge, but there were no paladins of rank present. The rider turned out to be an escort for a female red wizard who had been attacked by bugbears in the wilderness. The priest sneered at the rider when they learned of his nationality, but Graham told the escort it was his duty to protect travelers from aggression within Tormish territory. The priest tried to dissuade Graham from attempting to go after the Red Wizard, but Graham rebuked them and repeated to the escort that it would be his honor to mount a rescue effort. Protected only by his helmet and the heavy hide demanded by the climate, Graham followed the escort to the site of the battle. From there, the escort tracked the bugbears to a cave. When Graham and the escort entered, they immediately came under heavy attack from bugbears. The escort's resolve faded, and he fled back into the wilderness. Graham pressed on, killing 4 bugbears and wounding 2 more before he died within sight of the Red Wizard. Though the bugbears were by no means wiped out, the attack weakened and confused them enough that the Red Wizard was able to blast her way out of the cave system. Later, she returned to Damara and approached the priests of the Wilderness Temple from Torm, from which Graham cave. When she learned about the selfless valiance of Graham, even her Thay-hardened heart was moved. She had a suit of armor constructed and enchanted for her small savior. It was built to the finest standards of quality, and it is said that the priests and paladins of Torm assembled at Graham's burial gasped in awe at its beauty. In later years, Graham was used as an example of devotion to duty for fledgling paladins. His revered tomb was looted by a fractured Orcish army from Vasa when the temple was destroyed in 1298 DR. Only usable by paladin, but magical resistance and a good armor bonus. That's some good armor. These are some interesting stories here. I'm just going to read... This is probably going to take up a lot of time, but I'm going to read through these, at least the armor. Balhodri's Eelskin Boots. Due to their religious responsibilities, minions of Umberlee are supposed to avoid personal entanglements with those who work the sea. Of course, even among those who follow dark gods, the pursuit of pleasure and emotional gratification often cause them to stray from their commandments. One priestess who strayed in such a fashion was Kalana Fisher. In 1357, she began a romance with the pirate captain Balhodri. Though both were extremely flawed people with outrageous personalities and a complete lack of faithfulness, they had a strange mutual affection for each other. But while Balhodri's great flaw was his mean temper, Kalana's was in holding grudges. In 1366, Kalana tracked down the murderer of Balhodri, a Talosian pirate captain named Madelian. She planted information in Madian's spy network and anonymously offered him a tantalizing prize. 3 high-value merchant ships leaving the port of Baldur's Gate with few defenses. Low on money, Madian took the bait. He was slaughtered by the numerous guards that poured from the ship's hold. As Madian lay dying on the deck of the Malediction, the priestess pulled the boots from his feet, boots she had crafted for Balhodri from the skin of giant eels. The merchant's guard stripped the rest of Madian's gear from his body before dumping him in the ocean. As it turned out, the merchant captain was a superstitious sort, and had gone to the Temple of Umberlee in Baldur's Gate for a divination. Without hesitation, the priestess Kalana had foretold a horrible attack outside the port. Not only did Kalana get her revenge, but the captain became a lifelong donator to the Church of Umberlee. Only usable by rogue, but gets haste 4 times a day. Interesting. Let me get some water before I read this one. Okay. Grainstone Gloves. After a holy war between the Church of Shar and an alliance of the faiths of Kossuth, Lathander, and Saloon ended in an ambiguous stalemate, the Alliance of Light was too numerous to be eliminated and the Order of the Dark Moon too insidious to be rooted out completely, Riala Grainstone's assassinations were curtailed by the leaders of the Order. In quiet meditation and martial study, she achieved the rank of Master of the Dark Moon, the highest rank below that of the leadership of the Order. Over the years following the legendary War of Assassination, Riala Grainstone became a sort of myth among the faithful of Shar's enemies, particularly Saloon. Thought to have been killed during the war, her ghost was said to still stalk the worshippers of the Moon Goddess and snatch them away to Shar's dark realm. Her final fate is unrecorded, but the existence of several of her personal magical items outside the hands of the Order of the Dark Moon seems to suggest that she was unsuccessful in her final mission. Then again, maybe that's exactly what Riala wants the world to think. A monk can cause daze when he hits people. That could actually be a useful set of gloves. Head of the Lame Kobold. Ooh, kobolds. After narrowly avoiding a grisly death in an attempted coup, The Kobold Warlock, Shol-Sarath the Lame, so named because he traded his finger and his foot to a demon for his power, resolved to do a better job keeping his tribe content and well-fed. To the Kobold way of thinking, that meant raids on the local farmsteads. Lots of raids on the local farmsteads. With the old chief's aid, Shol-Sarath whipped the Skull King tribe dragon into a well-honed fighting machine, and set about their plunder. The tribe quickly became feared and reviled throughout the nearby communities, so much so that a band of adventurers passing through the region resolved to end the Kobold menace. 5 heroes rode out from the village of Houndstown, and in short order they found tracks leading to the Kobold camp. The warriors of the Skulking Dragon might have been a nightmare plague to the homesteaders in the region, but against a well-trained adventuring band they were little more than pests. As his finest warriors were slaughtered by the bucket load, Shol-Sarath called upon the demon Yargulbazul one last time and demanded to be carried away from disaster. The imp made a great show of explaining how difficult that would be, but he demanded a final price, greater than any he had asked before. Shol-Sarath agreed fanatically, and Yargulbazul said that he required the warlock's head. Never the brightest kobold in the world, Shol-Sarath agreed, and just as the adventurers burst into the shaman's sanctum, they were treated to the peculiar sight of the imp lopping off the kobold shaman's head and laughing as he carried Shol-Sarath's soul off to the abyss. Okay, a warlock item that gives a bonus to charisma but a penalty to intelligence and lets someone use fear. I feel like this is a parody of a well-known bunch of items. What is the name of them? It's like someone's eye. What is the name of the artifact? The eye of something. I am blanking on it. It is well known in D&D. Venka! Yes, the eye of Venka and the hand of Venka. What did this guy lose? A finger and a foot to a demon. Yes, the eye of Venka and the hand of Venka. Both incredibly powerful artifacts. You must cut off your hand or pluck out your eye and replace them with these artifacts in order to get incredible power. But none are as powerful as the legendary head of Venka. Oh, it's so hilarious. Okay, let's read one more here. Scatter Trail Boots. Several years after her initiation into a druidic circle in the High Forest, the gnome Darya Scattertrail and several adventuring companions pursued a rogue Thayan wizard intent on unlocking the infernal secrets of Hellgate Keep. The Red Wizard was aided by powerful magic, but Darya and her companions knew the forest better and were able to bring their quarry to bay against a tall ridge. The adventurers dispatched the wizard's guards easily enough, but the mage himself was more skilled than they'd expected. Terrible magics were unleashed against Darya and her compatriots, and the young druid watched in horror as a Thayan spell rooted her friends to the ground to be devoured by the wizard's summoned demons. Overcome with terror, Darya broke and, aided by the enchantment of these boots, fled, abandoning her remaining allies to their fate. Only later, when the animal panic had dissipated and reason returned, did Darya realize what she had done. Overcome with shame, she threw her adventuring gear to the ground and left the forest, never to return. She was last seen in a small village a day's ride from Silvery Moon, mending pots for 20 coppers apiece. Moves silently and freedom of movement, only usable by druids. Interesting. And we have all of these other weapons, and I am not going to read all of them. A condor is a... Oh, it's a bastard sword, not a long sword. Oh, these don't actually have descriptions. Okay. Interesting to know. That one's a scimitar. Ooh, whirlwind attack. Falling star, what is this? A longbow. Infinite ammo. Unlimited fire arrow. Fire arrow ammo. Okay, ever finding something with unlimited ammo is great. Gladius? A short sword. +2 enhancement. That's actually a pretty good one. What is this? A spear? A spear. Gungd. I can barely pronounce that. Hammer and nails, honor's edge, locust crossbow. Mockery of mail? Massive criticals, okay. Sturge Tempest Caller, which is a great sword. Ugh, penalties. Don't like that. The Dark Blade. There's a long sword. +2 enhancement bonus, massive criticals, and dark steel metal. I don't know if that's actually any use. The Dove? A short bow. With charm. Interesting. None of them I think I'll use. Nothing there. Angerus's Slave... Okay, there's things here. And nothing in there. You know what? I'll read these four. I'll read these four, and then I'm going to end the episode, because these are some interesting stories. Anagris's Slave Caller. Anagris Brightbrass and her companions enjoyed a long and successful career hunting the monstrous aberrations that dwelt within the regions around the Great Rift. With Angeris's magic and her allies' combat prowess, the Great Rift was made safer for the Gold Dwarves and their human neighbors. Even the best adventurers eventually run out of luck, though, and so it was with Angeris and her companions. Anagris, sorry. The group tracked a raiding party back to its lair and what they believed to be its illithid master. What they didn't realize until far too late was that the raiding party's master was actually an Alhoon, a terrifyingly powerful undead mind flayer, far more potent than they had expected. Outmatched, the adventurers were stunned and devoured one by one. All except for Anagris. Perhaps because of her arcane prowess, Anagris was captured and sold to a Duergar slave master, who brought her in a large caravan to the North Dark. North Dark? Anagris was bought at an auction by a drow wizard from Ched Nasad, who forced her to expend her magic and ultimately her very soul in the crafting of magic items. Anagris died just a few years after being taken, but according to legend, at least some small portion of her soul passed into the slave collar that had been the symbol of her wretched existence for the last years of her life. Powerful wizard item, extra spell slots, very nice. Gryaena's Bond. In life, Gryaena Blood Has Dried was an ex-Uthgard barbarian who prospered as a successful adventurer and explorer of dangerous ruins. In death, she became the thrall of a powerful magic-using vampire who dwelt in the ruins of an ancient Ilfarn outpost. Gryaena's master recognized that her impetuous nature might cause her to get into battles beyond her ability. He provided Gryaena with a ring that allowed her to heal herself. Of course, this ring also had a curse placed upon it. If Gryaena attempted to stray outside of the Master's domain, a customized enchantment would awaken and destroy her physical form. As fate would have it, years after Gryaena's death, a traveling group of Uthgard barbarians traveling to Waterdeep mistakenly decided to camp for the night in some Ilfarn ruins. To their surprise, they quickly learned that the area was ruled by a vampire lord and patrolled by his minions. The barbarians quickly destroyed many of the vampire's minor servants, and, as heroic barbarians are wont to do, they decided to seek out the master of the area. After hours of exploration and terrible battle, the barbarians reached the master's lair. Expecting to find only him, they were dismayed at the sight of an undead Uthgard warrior woman standing at his side. Gryaena immediately recognized her distant kin and knew what she had to do. She sprinted for the high cliff that marked the edge of her master's domain and leapt off before the vampire understood what was happening. The ring's dormant power awoke and turned Gryaena's body to dust, destroying her instantly. Shocked, the vampire lord did not have the presence of mind to mount a defense against his barbarian assailants. The Uthgard slew the vampire lord and finished their journey to Waterdeep. In the city, they prayed a priest of Tempest to travel with them as they returned to the site. The priest cleansed the area of its undead taint and helped the barbarians construct a cenotaph for their mysterious undead kin who had sacrificed herself to save them. Huh. That's actually a very interesting story. Heart of Ilumlura. In the ancient Ilfan Empire, all members of the imperial family had a number of personal retainers. Though it was uncommon for distant relatives of the emperor to have an extensive network of servants, his beautiful niece, Ilumlura, had over 20. Her favorite servant was a woman named Ialana. Ialana was Ilum's constant companion and assistant, no matter where the imperial niece traveled. Ialana comforted her in her most private times and celebrated her every joy. Unfortunately for both Ilum and Ialana, rumors about the pair reached the ears of the emperor. To prevent the eruption of rumor into scandal, the emperor had Ialana removed from her position and assigned to his personal service. As a parting gift, Ilum gave Ialana a simple silver ring. Ialana wore the ring until her death hundreds of years later. Okay, that's an interesting one. improved saving throws for rangers. And finally, Isridane's soul. Everyone said that the bard Isridane's ability with the lute was exceptional, but a few maintained that it was something more, something supernatural. After Isridane's death at the hands of a jilter lover, the people of Waterdeep learned just how true those rumors had been. Early in his career, Isridane realized that his physical beauty was far greater than his talent with music. He was a gifted musician, but he knew he would never be legendary unless he had assistance. Isridane contracted a wizard to summon forth a powerful demon so the bard could negotiate a pact with the forces of darkness. A succubus answered the call. She agreed to inspire Isridane with creative forces beyond his understanding. In exchange, upon his death, all that had resulted from her inspiration and Isridane's soul would be hers. Isridane thought on this for a short time and eventually agreed to the succubus's deal. The succubus occupied a pendant that Isridane wore around his neck. It had the effect of inspiring the bard to create musical deeds, but it also created intense physical lust. When Isridane died, the bard's soul was swapped into the amulet, and the succubus was released into the world. If the amulet ever shatters, Isridane's soul will be dragged straight to the lower planes. Until then, Isridane's succubus roams Faerun, searching for the children sired by the bard's lust. Oof. It's relatively cheap, gives a bonus to concentration, perform, and some extra hit points. You know what? This is actually so cheap that I think it's worth it to give it to our bard. Oh, we can also have regular goods, which are, I guess, probably useful. Scrolls, rings, and frost giant head. Okay, I don't need that. And I'm going to sell the rest of this, but I'm going to buy that that bard item and give it to our bard companion so that he actually has something. I think that seems a fair decision, don't you? Alright. And with that, I am going to go ahead and end this episode here, because it has, quite frankly, gone on long enough. Isridane's soul instead of a glittering necklace. Yes, please. And somehow he can use anything, except the armor of Graham the Mouse. Because that's how bards work. Anyway,
All in.
I am going to end this episode here. Next episode, we'll go back to exploring throughout this place, see what we can find and do. That'll be in the next episode, so until then, I'm Chester44, that is Travis Ignum, Grobnon Gnomehans, Nishka, Sand, and Chandra. This has been a Let's Play of Neverwinter Nights 2, and I shall see you all next time.